I want to encourage people, hey, it's not about spending hours a day on social. It's not about creating tons of content. It's really about people knowing and connecting with you and getting into conversations so that you can have appointments and sales and referrals and referral partners. And that's what we really focus it down to.
Got questions, we bring the facts. From proven pros who walk the tracks. Business life, no smoke, just flames. Ask the experts, David Williams brings the game.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Ask the Experts. I'm your host today, Andy Arter, and joining me is the one and only David Dre. I just found out David and I are kind of neighbors. He's right across the big Skyway Bridge up there in the St. Pete market, and I'm just south. But many of you already know David here in the Insurance Syndicate. But for those of you who don't, let me introduce the man himself. So he's the co-founder of Jumpstart Go, and alongside his wife and business partner, David and his team help insurance agents and agencies build predictable pipelines without buying leads or cold calling. I know a lot of you who aren't familiar with them are probably going to love the sound of that. And they use organic social media, personal branding, referral partnerships, and simple, repeatable systems to achieve that, which we're going to dive in today. And over the years, David and his wife have worked with more than 1,000 insurance professionals across life, health, Medicare, financial advisors, and P&C. And they also lead one of the largest insurance marketing communities online, marketing for insurance agencies with over 35,000 members. That's a huge feat. Their programs, including the Closers Click and the organic lead system, have helped agents double and even triple production, not by chasing hacks, but by keeping marketing authentic, aligned with sales, and actually doable. And what makes their story even more interesting is how they've built it. And I've watched this journey, which has been very cool to watch over the years. I know you and your wife started dating in high school and got married at 21 while still in college, and you've built businesses together ever since. But you've lived in South Africa, spent extended time in Southeast Asia, and have run your company from literally all over the world. I think when we were talking, you were even talking about some upcoming trips, even networking with individuals out there internationally, which has deeply shaped your belief in freedom through systems and relationships and audience-based marketing. And I love working with organizations where, the way they live their life is an inspiration. And I think it's something that a lot of people look for is freedom of movement, a lifestyle in which they can be close with their loved ones, but also achieve great things. And you guys are such a good example of that. And then you're also the host of the Modern Insurance Agent podcast, which I was recently on with you and really excited to look at some of the past episodes you've had. If you guys haven't checked that out, go look up the Modern Insurance Agent podcast. And I know from what you told me up front that you're open to talking about business, faith, marriage, travel, and how to keep things human while still running with real metrics and structure and getting results. So for today, David, we're going to dive into social media, marketing, personal branding, video, and referral partnerships, and really how agents can turn content into conversations and conversations into clients. So everybody, let's give David a very warm welcome. And if you're watching live on Facebook, please feel free to join us in for any questions and comments, and I'll make sure to keep an eye out on that. And I can even take live audience questions back to David. But without further ado, the man himself, David, welcome to the show and Happy New Year. How are you?
Thanks so much, Andy. I'm super excited to be here. I'm excited for 2026. It's already got off to a rock and start and can't wait. There's so much stuff awesome planned for this year. I'm really, really excited for it.
We're super excited to have you here. You may not know this. You're our first official episode of 2026. We've been doing this now for over 60 live episodes, and you're the kickoff. You're the big kickoff for the year. So we're super pumped to have you. And where I kind of want to start is just opening up on your story. Can you give us a quick version? I know it's like, well, give us, 20 years in 10 minutes, but can you give us a kind of a condensed version of your story and how you and your wife ended up building Jumpstart Go together and how that all got going originally?
Absolutely. Unlike Joe, who might be one of the very few people who actually grew up wanting to be in insurance with his dad and hopping in right away as soon as you get licensed. Elle and I don't think you could even spell insurance, back then. And so we did start dating in high school. Went to the same high school for a magnet program there, and got married in college. I went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and she went to SCAD, and both kind of come from marketing and consulting backgrounds. I worked corporate for a few years there, which actually ended up leading to us living over in South Africa for a couple of years, which living South Africa was cool. The project sucked, but living there was great. And I will say got me away from the corporate back in the US, which was in a cubicle in a room with no windows, your 9 to 5. And I was like, I can't do that. And, I maybe stereotypical or a little cliche, but one of my buddies while we were in South Africa was like, hey, have you read this 4 Hour Workweek book, Tim Ferriss? And like, well, that's pretty cool. We could probably do that, because we were really wanting to live internationally and travel, and that was important to us. And they don't normally build the type of power plants and other stuff they were doing in nice places. So they're like, you want to move to Mobile, Alabama, or Amarillo, Texas? And I was like, not really. And so that's when we came back. We started our first company. She actually started working with clients while we were over there, and then we started when we came back, and I kind of finished wrapping up with that company. Ended up down in Florida. And by that time, we had, a steady flow of clients, closed on a house, because apparently they like you to have W-2 income when you buy a house or whatever. So, closed before I quit the job, and then quit. And right kind of after that, we rented our house out, Southern Florida. There's a lot of people when they get cold up north like to come down for the winter. So we'd rent it out. Those 3-4 months we'd rent it out would cover a year of mortgage, and we'd go work from Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines for 4 or 5 months and come back. And we loved doing that for years. And that's kind of how we got started doing marketing consulting for small businesses, startups, software companies, and did that for a long time, till eventually came in contact with a third partner of ours who came from the insurance industry, had worked in the industry for a while, built and sold companies, and he was doing marketing for about 200 insurance agencies at that time, a lot of PNC ones, and said, hey, I really think this industry needs a lot of these areas that you guys focus on. It's like 10, 15 years behind most other industries, especially with technology and social. And at that point in time, that was about 8 years ago. And we said, oh, that sounds cool. Like, we've already worked with some insurance agencies before. We're fine to focus to only working with insurance agents and agencies. And that was 8 years ago. And we started the Facebook group. So that's kind of what led to us getting involved in the industry. Eventually, Elle and I got licensed ourselves. We sold ourselves. We have a few agents we like to test things out on. We don't, recruit or anything, but we love working with agents, and we love the industry.
That's beautiful. And like, what originally pulled you towards insurance agents, other than just kind of the suggestion to go like, hey, there's this need, you guys fill in that need, it's going to make sense for you. Like, beyond that, I see you as a very passionate person and somebody who like dives in on things you have passion for. So like, what was it that kind of got you to, you get that first 2, 6, 8, 10, 20 clients under your belt in the insurance? Like, why did you dig your teeth so deeply into it and go like, this is a place that we can like happily live in as well? What do you like working about, what do you like about working with insurance agencies, I guess? Because you strike me as somebody who's not going to go spend your life doing something like the 9 to 5 in a cubicle that you don't want to be doing. So what is it that attracts you to like working with insurance agencies?
A few things. I think at the end of the day, it's entrepreneurship. Every agent, an agency owner, they're building a business here. They need these skill sets, even if they don't maybe come in expecting to be a business owner or from that background. But they really like, I have to market, I have to bring in clients, I have to do sales, I have to handle team and operations and hiring and all these skill sets that maybe they have had from previous business, but honestly, most haven't. And so I love that they all have to do this, especially marketing and growth, which is where we really come and focus in the area that I love and was one of the, I think, the biggest needs, especially for maybe where the only options presented prior were, hey, smile and dial leads or talk to your friends and family till they stop inviting you to Thanksgiving dinner. And that's where we said, hey, this is a great industry doing amazing things, right? They're not selling ice cream cones or widgets. They're protecting people's most important possessions, their lives, their health, their legacies. And so if we're going to help anybody, helping people that are making huge impacts on people in an industry that's also not going away and has been here for a very long time, we figured that, that was going to be a really great industry with a lot of opportunity to help a lot of people. And that's where we kind of originally came up with our mission of wanting to help 10,000 insurance agents do at least 10,000 plus a month in commissions for a $1.2 billion economic impact a year. And that's where we saw just a lot of opportunity to do that.
Wow, that's incredible. And one of the areas I really like have been thinking about for this conversation is, are you familiar with the South Florida company, City Furniture?
A little bit.
Okay. I'm connected. You can go look in my friends group with one of the leaders within that organization who grew up in the business. His father started it, and they do about 700 million a year in furniture sales, retail furniture sales. They're big organization. And one of the things I noticed years ago is they would actually fly over and spend time with the Toyota team, the Toyota executives, and learn this lean operation and understand how to carry enough inventory to serve their customers, but do it as lean as possible. And just these transparent, efficient models that run within. And I thought, how cool that they went out as an American company. They went and learned this skill set from a different culture, and they brought it in to their business, and it's turned them into one of the fastest growing, most successful furnishing companies in America. And then I started looking at your story, and I'm wondering, like, working abroad, living abroad, being in other cultures, seeing other companies, that has to have had some kind of an impact on the ideas you bring back, how you operate culturally, socially, things like that. So I
Mhm.
know it's a very high level question because there's probably 100 answers to it, but I'd be really curious how your travel and work abroad has kind of shaped the way you think about business, and like what maybe you're able to bring back from that into your own companies and then into your clients' companies as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we can dive into there. I think L and I's favorite thing is getting dropped in the middle of a place we don't speak the language, we don't know what's, going on, we don't know the food, and we just want to go
Mm,
explore. And that's, I think, why we like Southeast Asia a lot, because it's like 180 degrees different than the US in a lot of ways.
mm,
And so it really feels like you're getting to explore uncharted territory if you've never spent time over there. So for us, that was a big thing is, I'm unfamiliar, I'm testing, I'm getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And we've also love different cultures because people are all different. And I think that's a really key thing that we've brought back to our approach here, because every agent's different, other
mm.
personalities are different. Everybody's unique in what they maybe feel is commoditized industry, but it's not. And anybody who's successful in this industry will tell you that's not just a commodity. And and people work with people they know, like, and trust, and they're all different, and all their target audiences and ICPs, ideal client profiles, like, are all different as well. And so I think really being able to understand your target audience and putting yourself in their shoes, and the better you understand them, the better you're able to market to them, and also your authentic self in your marketing, which people think they maybe have to put on a facade, but they don't. So I think that is a big part, is getting to explore different cultures, meet different people, learn how everybody's different. They desire different things, they have different challenges, and then also just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's where the growth happens. And we were very fortunate to really get connected with an international group of location independent entrepreneurs that do all types of businesses. And so we've done masterminds with them around the world. Like, a common one is in Bangkok, and 500 people every year just walk up to that event to share knowledge. No outside speakers, no pitching. It's just knowledge share type stuff. And so for us, it's also been a learning experience to connect with people around the world, sharing what they're doing for ads and social and hiring and operations. And, it's a lot of fun to get to explore the world while learning and growing your business too.
And thank you for all that. That's amazing. And I think my biggest takeaway personally is just get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And like, you think about dropping into a culture, you don't know the language, you don't know the food, you don't know the safety measures, and like having to navigate that. So you think about dropping in to a market now, or into a new challenge in the insurance space, let's say, and it's like, oh yeah, like we figured this out as a team. So it's really cool to see the teamwork between you and Elle, and what you guys are able to achieve together that way. I've also got a soft spot for international culture and like the different perspectives. I think it's super refreshing because we do get programmed to think a certain way here. So it's really interesting to get just a different value set and a different take on life from others from around the world. So it's really cool that I'm sure that shaped you and doing business with you guys in a lot of ways. Now, thinking about social media, I want to kind of dive into the world of organic social media and personal branding. I've experienced myself, and I've gotten better with this, right? But I still see a lot of agents struggle with it too, of feeling overwhelmed, like feeling like when they go in and they want to get involved in social media, that they don't know where to begin. And there's so many, it's like, well, do I need somebody to post content for me all the time and have a scheduler and like, this infrastructure. And then you could just sit dormant and not do anything. Whereas what I've found to work best is diving in and, starting to take some form of action. But I think a lot of people still, for every person you see putting out content, there's 100 more that don't. So for those 100 that don't, that are maybe listening today, what do most people overcomplicate right out of the gate with social media? And like, where would you coach somebody in that's just like, literally like, you know what, I think it's time. I've seen it for a decade now. Other people have been doing this and I'm finally ready to kind of put myself out there. How do you kind of guide people into that first journey when they're new to social media?
So I would say if they're at that point where, hey, I know this is important and it's finally time to take action on that, is finding someone to help guide you through the steps that you can put in place, and also accountability. Whether that's, we do free trainings, plenty of others do. It's something that you can learn and apply. And there's a lot of different perspectives on it. I know what we recommend, what we teach, and I can dive into that a bit. But at the end of the day, there's not only one way to grow a business. Like there's a lot of ways in insurance, and there's people who work leads really successfully, run seminars, do in-person grassroots type marketing locally. There's a lot of ways to do it. I just find social is one of the most leveraged and most profitable ways to do it. And if you do it the way we're talking about, with personal brand, people seeing you and coming to you, it also feels good because people are coming because they want to work with you specifically or got referred to you. And that's really exciting versus trying to chase people on the opposite side. Because at the end of the day, I think that's what a lot of agents want to build to, is being known as the person to come to, especially for your core audience that you help, and that they don't have to go find people each day. They all come in to them, right? And so I would say the first steps, people tend to have a fear of putting themselves on social a little bit. And this comes from our own personal fear. Like, right, the number one thing people fear above death is what, Andy? I'll put you on the spot here.
Oh man, the one thing they fear more than death, is it rejection?
Public speaking. So they'd rather be the one in the casket than the one giving the eulogy. Like that's the kind of joke around it. But people are afraid. Like public speaking is like one of people's biggest fears. And it's from, yes, rejection. It's from, what would people think? I'm in front of people, they're staring at me. And so they take some of this to social, like, right? Like, I'm putting myself out. I know I can't see the other people, but what if they don't like me? What if they reject me? Or what if like I'm just really nervous about it? Because if we think about it, if it's just business and just, putting out stuff for my business, well, people will do flyers without thinking twice. They'll maybe do direct mail. They'll do these things. But as soon as it's putting them out there in a personal brand and stuff, that's when they start to get a little nervous. And that's where I really like encouraging and kind of walking people through that, to find out it's not as scary as they think, especially organic. I will say Facebook ads and ad comment, like you get all the kind of crazies in those or ever. But when it comes to like an audience you're connected with and building an organic, you'll find 99% of the time it's all positive, exciting, and people make, oh, I had people reach out that I hadn't seen me in a long time, or connected, with me and or supporting me in my post. And I thought it was going to be terrible, but it's not. Now I'm actually excited about it. And so, like anything, it's like taking that first step and, kind of jumping past that fear and taking action that leads to getting comfortable with it. I think this is the first time you pick up a phone to call a lead, right? No one's like, oh yeah, no problem, right? They're all nervous the very first time they've done it if they've never done it before. But by the thousandth call, like, it's not so bad anymore, right? So same thing with hitting a baseball. I can't hit the baseball right off the bat, but I do it over and over and realize that, hey, this is not so bad after all, and I get better and better and more skilled at it, which leads me to the like not having to be perfect off social. In fact, it actually performs worse when you're trying to put on this facade of perfect or get everything just right. And this is why some of the best performing content is like picking up the phone, recording a 30-second video, posting it. No editing, no nothing, just done off the phone. People want authentic, especially in the world today with AI and the rise of what's real, what's not. And the whole Insta perfect and create this perfect online like ecosystem, it's not trusted anymore, and it's not real. It never was real. So now people can relax and be like, oh, I can be myself, be authentic, and that'll cater to my target audience and or repel the audience that's not my target audience, and they can connect with those that they are the target audience for. So it comes down to kind of taking action and just kind of getting past that initial fear and then realizing, oh, this isn't so bad. And if that's being a part of a community and having coach mentorship around it, or just, have another agent keep you accountable with it. I mean, that's really the first steps.
That's beautiful. And it's funny you talk about just a 30-second video and just post it, because I was taught by a mentor in a company I worked with for a long time. Hey, when you have a customer in B2B in the commercial space and you pitch them and quote them on a deal, take out your phone and record a video and send it to them as a follow-up. Hey, thank you for your time today. It was great meeting with you, putting a face to the name. If you have any questions, let me know. Bing, I send it off. Did like hundreds of those. So when it came time to getting on social, there was already this practice of like pull out the phone. And I think that's literally half of it, is like, you talk about how do you stop smoking? Stop putting cigarettes in your mouth. How do you record content? Pick up your phone. Like, very simple actions. So like, let's play out a scenario. So now you've got an agency and they're like, okay, I know I need to do this. I've been dragging my feet on it, but like, where do I begin? Do I have to pull out a whiteboard? Do I brainstorm? Like, where do I start? And maybe they only want to put 30 minutes a day into this and just see how it goes. Hey, I'm just going to make this 2026. I'm going to start flowing out content. And you talk about like turning content into conversations and creating content that's valuable. If you were to guide somebody through the creative process to go like, hey, this is kind of the mental exercise you've got to go through to figure out what is that very first video? What's the second video? Unless they're shooting from the hip on a whim, right? If they want to come in and plan something, it's January 8th. And they're like, okay, I'm going to put out a video before 6 p.m. today, but where do I start? Do I do a vulnerable personal story? Do I talk about a client testimonial? Do I just do something? Do I record my kids at baseball? Like, what do I do? Where do you normally guide people to think through that process of like content creation?
So I'll start real quick on the content creation and kind of go back first step. Content creation, I think it's important to keep in mind too, that content is only a piece of using social media for results, right? Agents are using social to get in conversations with their target audience, referral partners, and to get referrals. It's not to just get likes or views or comments. Like, that's all vanity metrics. Like, they're not looking to be influencers. They're looking to grow their insurance businesses. So I'm going to talk about it from that perspective, because it is different than like shooting to be a Kim Kardashian. Very different, like, right? So if I'm using it for my business, the content is only a piece, and actually not as big of a piece as people think. Yes, it's important, but it's not about how many posts can I get out today, how much content can I create, because at the end of the day, my goal is actually to get into the conversations and appointments. It's not just to get a lot of content out and seen on a lot of content. Content, yes, is important, but it's a lot less is required than people think, especially depending on the platform. So when I come back to the beginning of where does everything start from, and this really applies to anything with marketing with your business, is knowing who is my target audience. Because if I'm hey, they have a pulse, or everybody's my target audience, you are a commodity, and no one really respects that. And no one's like, oh, you're specifically meant to help me, right? If I have an issue with, my brain, like, I don't want to go to the general like physician and the general my PCP. Like, I want to go to a brain surgeon or someone like specializes in that area, right? So it's the same thing. Like, oh, I help everybody versus I help commercial truckers. Like Joe Camper, it's amazing with commercial trucking, and people know that that's a key area that he's amazing at and comes to him, and he has all these relationships on that side too. And so when you have your ideal target audience, doesn't mean you're saying no to the other people that come to you, but it does make everything easier for speaking to them, their pain points, what they find valuable. All that's different than another target audience. So you got to know that before you go into anything. And that's something to work for. And it can change over time, but it's not like, can I have 30 target audience? No, it really doesn't work unless you know exactly who you're going after. And I think that's hard for people that do a lot of different things. They're like, oh, I want to help, seniors. I want to help young families. I want to help commercial truckers. And it's like, they're all so different. Your marketing and everything's going to be watered down and ineffective. So I'd say focus on one and going after them, and that's going to lead to other stuff as well, but focus on that one target audience. And then when it comes to, now I know that target audience, now I can look at the different platforms. Yeah, there's a bunch of social media platforms, but they're all different. They all work slightly differently, and trying to do multiple at a time is really like trying to run multiple businesses at a time. It pulls time and effectiveness away from each. And then usually it adds a lot more work too and stress. So people just aren't effective on any of them because they don't really focus to one. So we very much encourage focusing on one single platform until you're doing at least 7 figures, and then you can move on to additional platform from there as well. So, I mean, that's what we did, and then we added additional platforms from there, but focusing on a single one. Now, there are different platforms based on audiences, but it also comes to the agent themselves. Like, how familiar am I with social? How, like, comfortable I am with content creation and everything. I find most insurance agents and agencies do not live and breathe social, do not do much with it, or haven't done much with it, and they're not looking to become a Kim Kardashian and an influencer. So for them, they're looking to do what they need to do to produce results. So if I get like, and I've had, like, Olivia Applebear's a good example of like an 18-year-old that came and had just gotten a life license and was like, I haven't written anything, but I really rather do this instead of college, and I really want to work with you guys and build my business off of social media because I love social and I live and breathe it. Then yeah, and so for her, she was already making videos for fun as an 18-year-old, and so we ended up taking her to TikTok, and she started doing 30,000 a month in IULs off of TikTok for free coming in, and now she's got 250,000 followers and runs her business from Thailand and Vietnam and stuff. So but for her, she embraced social, and it was easy for her as far as creating content because she already did it. She loved it. But if I go tell another insurance agent, hey, you need to do 3 to 4 videos a day and a minimum, which is what you really need to do on TikTok, they'd murder me. So I like focusing on the easiest one that they can be consistent with, that doesn't take as much content, and that's Facebook. Most of our clients, 1 post a day, less than 5-10 minutes. You don't have to do a ton of content, and content's only like a piece. And this is where I can help agents feel a little more comfortable, because if I'm just relying on putting content, then it's the slow burn. Like over time, more and more see it, more and more audience, will reach out and come to you. And over time you can, build a nice big personal brand and people that come to you. It's kind of like if I started off in a brand new city and I went out locally, meeting one by one and meeting businesses and building relationships over years, right? And that's great, but it's also kind of like having leads and sitting there and staring at them until one calls you. Eventually, some of those will reach out to you in your number or book on your calendar, but you're also leaving a lot of opportunities and doing it the slowest way possible. So that's where we like focusing on the things that go along with the content, like actually building the exact audience, leveraging where they're already at, like with Facebook groups, my messaging and my connection with them to get into these conversations, because that's where everything happens in a conversation. So that's where I want to encourage people, hey, it's not about spending hours a day on social. It's not about creating tons of content. It's really about people knowing and connecting with you and getting into conversations so that you can have appointments and sales and referrals and referral partners. And that's what we really focus it down to.
That's amazing. And I'm itching to like dive into that other realm of it, right? Because I think that's been a big struggle for so many that I've spoken with. I know personally I've struggled with that, right? Because you can work to put yourself out there and you see the fruits of that come through. And usually, at least what I've experienced, it actually comes through in a very personal way. You meet somebody who you didn't even know followed you, and you've been putting out genuine content, and they're like, I love your story. I love your family, right? I want to do business with you. We have the same value system. And it just, that trust is there. And so you see that magic happen. But to your point, you've got to rely on this quantum magnetic, like they pop into your inbox and they're like, hey, can you give me a call? Whereas you're saying like, hey, you do that piece while you put out some content and you start building an audience and building a system. But when you talk about more of this back end, right? I think people are afraid that I speak with of becoming the spammer. They don't want to be the one who's like hounding people in messages. But when you talk about like engaging in a group, or you are going to open up a conversation with somebody where it can still start with trust and authenticity, and you're not going to go in and like try to hard pitch somebody, but it's genuine. Like, do you mind breaking down a little bit logistically what that could look like for somebody, and like maybe a literal tactic or two where you're like, yeah, like this is a really good example of a client who like was building an audience. And then when we just implemented like this action or this step, like they started to extract more of the value they've already built in their audience. What does that look like?
Yeah. And I'm not going to say like content, you don't need to do any content. You do need to do content. And that is where you can be positioned as an authority. People see you, hear you, builds trust, rapport. It is important. It's an important piece. And we definitely teach agents to do that. So I'm just saying it's not the only piece, or you don't have to spend all your time on that. That's not where a lot of the time goes. In fact, we try to make that as easy as possible. Now, the other areas that you're talking about, yes, this is where I really want to capitalize on. And this is not a spammy, just sending a bunch of DMs like, hey, have you thought about, getting life insurance, or, can can I quote your business, right? No one wants that. And I think a lot of people want to treat social as like different than in person, right? Like you don't just walk up to a random stranger on the street, hey, can I quote your home? Right. I mean, you could, but probably they'll run from you and be like, who are you? Right. And so it's not super effective. And it's not effective on social either. People treat it like a spray and pray, like let me just put as much stuff out there and connect, send messages to many people, and hopefully someone will come through. And that's not really how it works. In fact, you'll get where you're really not getting shown to anybody's content and no one's connecting or seeing anything, right? So you still want to be authentic and treat people how you would in person on social as well. So, but there's a lot of easy, low stress ways to do that, and ways to provide value as well. So I'll give you a couple examples. Like one is like leveraging Facebook groups. And I'll use someone everybody here is familiar with, Joe Camper, like, right, is a good example. So, when he started working with us, like when we very first launched our program 6 years ago, was him and his dad were the very first clients that popped into it. And Joe was like, hey, I really like commercial trucking. I, wrote it over Allstate. Like I now we're independent. This is something I'm writing. I enjoy. This is something I really want to be known for. And so with that, he got into Facebook group of, I think it was like 13,500 Amazon truckers that time, something around there. And it wasn't a, hey, everybody, I can help you with your insurance, which would immediately get you booted out of a group, right? That's not the point. The group wasn't for insurance. The group wasn't for selling to commercial truckers. It wasn't his group. And he got in, he provided value, connected with people there, wasn't even having to necessarily post, but was responding to people and connecting and helping them with questions that they had that he had knowledge of and expertise in. And then he also made connections with the admin of the group. As someone who runs a Facebook group, I'll tell you, make friends with admins. It's always powerful, right? And he connected with the admin. I was like, listen, I didn't make this group for insurance. I'm tired of answering questions about it. Like, it's not really the point of the group, but I've seen you helping others. I'm just going to make you the sole agent for the group. Here's admin privileges. You can boot out other agents if you want to, which he did. And just to mess around, just like, yeah, this is my territory now. And I think it grew to like 100,000 Amazon truckers. And he was 200, 300, 500,000 a month was quoting in premium from that group for free. He wasn't paying them or anything. Wow. And that's a powerful way to leverage a group that someone's already built. It's already put together. Your target audience is there because people are segmented in these groups. And this isn't like come into the group and just market to people. But when I come in the right way, provide value, actually connect, actually have the admin see me as an authority, someone to help them with their group, then all kinds of magic can happen. So we've seen this happen both and teach it very much for agents to leverage existing groups in a value added way, not to come in and just pitch or whatever, of course. And that's way easier because the group's already there. Right. And then more advanced, and Joe will tell you, is building a Facebook group is not an easy, quick thing, especially at the beginning, but it can be a huge opportunity as well. Like another client of ours, Rick Johnson, and also Austin area of Texas, like doing commercial for contractors. Right. And when he came to us, he was spending $2,000 a month in leads, making about $2,000 a month commissions, was kind of going circles his first 4 months of his business. Was like, hey, I'm tired of this. I need to get off this hamster wheel. And I think within the first month, he never bought a lead again and was leveraging existing groups for contractors in Texas, but realized, well, it just makes sense. Let me build my own group here. And now he has his own group for contractors in Texas and writes all of his business from his own Facebook group. He doesn't go out and get business from anywhere else. Solo producer, agency owner, it like writes all the business from there, takes time off. It's great. And he's seen as an authority for contractors in Texas because he has the group for that. And contractors come in and he ends up working with them and helping them with their insurance. So there's a lot of ways to leverage groups, but even personally, like agents aren't just like reaching out and sending random messages to people they don't have any connections or anything with. These are people that they've responded to one of their posts and commented, and now they've commented back and forth a couple times, asked some questions, be like, hey, Susan, I've got a few more questions or I'd love to continue the conversation. Let me shoot you over a messenger. And now they're in a private message conversation there and can dive a little bit further in kind of discovery and like, hey, Susan, I think we can actually help with that. Love to hop on a phone call with you or a Zoom or meet up for a coffee. And now I can move it off to an appointment at that point. And it's natural. It's easy. It's a continuation. Or if I need to start a conversation with someone, there's a lot of like simple ways. Like if people are nervous about it, one of the easiest ways to tell people is like Facebook will tell you whose birthday it is on your list. And one of the easiest ways is, instead of like just writing on their wall with 1,000 other people that gets buried, is shooting them a message. Even better if it's a little short video message, like you mentioned, and wishing them happy birthday, what's going on, ask them what they're doing in that day, they got any special plans. And it's a great, easy way to get a conversation going with people, that no one's mad about getting wished a happy birthday. And I'm actually having conversations, not happy birthday. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Have you thought about insurance? No. Once again, acting like a human being, right? And I think when people realize, oh, this is me just like being normal, but applied to social. And yeah, there's strategy and stuff behind it. But when they realize like this doesn't have to be this overarching spammy, like, thing that's scary to me, but this is me going to be me and bring people in and be natural, and just an easier way to do this versus going out and trying to find an audience, then they're like, oh, okay, I can do this.
This is insane, because I've been on a bazillion and one social media training calls and heard speakers, right? I think this is literally the first time I've had somebody sit down and say, like, tactically, this is exactly the groundwork, and here's some clean examples. And it's really making a great point. I hope everybody else is picking up on it as well, that it's kind of like being at the homecoming dance, and you could walk up and just be real awkward and be like, you dance with me, and it's like, no, you're going to get rejected, or you go stand off in the corner and you don't do anything. But I think when you start to look at it as like almost simulated, I'm walking up to somebody at a networking event or at a dance, and it's like, hey, I noticed you were friends with John. That's cool. Do you guys do the same thing? And like, there's all these conversation starters, and they have evidence of their life and their conversations and what they want all over their profile within different groups. So I love being able to like look at that and say like, yeah, like that's where the money is my work to go have enough interest to like connect with them personally, not go treat them as like a number. So this is super helpful.
I would actually love to continue on that metaphor though, because I think that is a really good one. Of like, if I come into a homecoming dance or ever, and I don't know anybody there, which would be weird because I go to school, like hopefully where I went to homecoming. But if I knew nobody there,
somebody else's prom. So,
exactly, invited someone else's prom. I went in a room, I knew nobody. Yeah, it would be awkward to be like, who is this kid? I've never seen you before. Do you even go to school here? Right. But if I come in and people are like, oh yeah, I know Bob, and Bob knows everybody. Bob's great, and I can say that, but even better if Bob is taking me around like, oh yeah, this is David. Have you not met him? He's great, or ever. And this is like building up referral partners and connections with people who have influence with your target audience on like social, for example. And they introduce you around, like they are known, well liked, and they can, hey, I have a lot of commercial truckers that follow me and pay attention to me. I would love to get you introduced around to them. So it's the same thing as people building up referral partners, with local real estate agent, but now they can do that and get introduced around there. Or if I'm coming into that homecoming dance and they've seen me at different events or around, or like, I've been shown to people. Now I'm coming in, people already know who I am a little bit and trust me before they even met me, right? And this is what we apply social, helping. Even if you are doing local, it helps supercharge that and you become a local legend. Another example, Matt Harms is agency owner in Tennessee. And, he started doing social with us and was like, okay, I kind of think this is a little silly, but, we work leads and you guys are helping with converting more on there. But like, I'll do the social too, sure. And it would put out videos, and we had him brand himself as your Matt Arms, your extremely friendly insurance agent, because he was captive and we didn't want to use the captive branding. And so he branded himself that, and he'd walk in local networking events and stuff, and people would be like, Matt, you're the friendly insurance agent. Like, I love your videos. I got some referrals for you. I got to connect with you. And he's like, David, I've never met these people. I was like, yeah, that's why we do social. It gets you warmed up so people are ready to talk to you, convert you, with you, even if they're in person and have never met you. So there's ways that you're making the process easier for yourself than the who are you, why are you calling, I don't know who you are, or have you thought about insurance, like, and that's what we're talking about, just making things easier for agents, more fun for agents, enjoying it. And social is a great way to do that.
That's beautiful. And like when you think about him coming in and having people recognize him, I love that he picked the friendly insurance agent. Like, you're literally picking the own brand, like the brand that you want people to know you by. And that is a brand that is approachable, and it's like you invent it out of thin air, right? But then it becomes his MO, and like that's very, very intentional. And that's a really good example, by the way. Thank you for that.
Like, do you know where before they Joe they were Clearview, but Redwood Agency Group? Do you know where the Redwood name came from?
No.
So Joe told me this, and I don't think it's a story made up. I'm pretty sure it's like actually where the name came from.
He's probably
So
watching. He's going to verify in comments. Yeah.
as you guys know, Joe's fairly tall. He's a tall guy. His dad is also a tall guy, and they both have fairly bright red hair, right? So Joe told me that they're basically human redwood trees. And so that is where redwood came from, is that they're basically human redwood trees in Texas. And that's where the name for the group came. Now, Joe, correct me if that was wrong or that was just a joke you told me, but I'm pretty sure that's where the name came from. And that was their branding, father, son, agent, building legacy. I know Joe's whole goal is building agency passed down with his kids and, 100 years, agency. And so that's part of their branding, part of their story, part of, Joe. And so that's powerful when you get to have your brand and it's, it's personal to you and people resonate with that, especially your target audience. And they're like, yeah, I want to work with you. Like, I want to follow you.
Awesome. And I normally reserve this, by the way. And I love the redwood story. We got to verify that, but that's great. That's fantastic. I usually do this at the end. I'd like to kind of just do it while it's hot in my mind. So if I'm sitting here, like where I would be at as an agent right now, is going like, yes, 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 yes. I like all of this. I want to get involved and I want somebody to help guide me through, right? Because this is a conversation, it's an idea, it's a thread, but you got to plant that seed and you got to grow it into something. And I would just see a lot wanting to have the guidance and the instruction from somebody like you and Elle. So just like as a minor intermission here, how do people reach out to you? How can they get a hold of you if they're listening right now? What can they do to get engaged with you guys and get, actually strategic guidance through all this in real time?
Yeah. And I also want to highlight, like, we have amazing team, amazing people behind teaching and training and helping support everyone. So it's not just Elle and I. We could not do it without our awesome team on it. But I also tell agents, like, we practice what we preach off the social as well. I'm not asking anybody who's never seen us, never heard us, never trust us to like hop in and start working with us. So one of the easiest things is we have a Facebook group called Marketing for Insurance Agents. It's about 36,000 insurance agents in there. And we do free trainings each week and live streams. We've done hundreds and hundreds throughout the years. You can see people like Joe Campert on those, or your upcoming episode with Andy yourself when that drops as well on there. But we have a ton there that we do in there. Lots of discussions, lots of stuff. And so, yeah, take advantage of the free stuff off the bat. Maybe you're a newer agent, hey, I don't have a lot to kind of invest in stuff. Like, I want to take advantage of the free things I can start learning to take quick action and get stuff off. Hey, we have that there. Plus you get to learn who we are, our personalities, how we work, and find a lot of people like that. But hey, maybe we're not the personalities for some, and that's fine. But they can still connect with others in that group there. And then, yeah, we have our flagship programs called the Closers Click, and those are for agents, agency owners like, really, hey, I really want to leverage social in my business. It is something I absolutely want to scale up. I want to use that. I want to double, triple my production. I want people coming to me. I want to potentially even be able to eliminate leads or never touch those. Like, that's what we do with that. And and honestly, the easiest place, once again, to join the group and then connect, and we can always have a call, take you through exactly what that looks like, make sure it's a fit in the first place, or maybe there's a better way to help, or you're like, hey, I really want to focus on just doing better with my leads. I just need help on closing more. Hey, I've got plenty of people to connect that are amazing that can help with that. I know I think Joe brought up like Vlad earlier, like group. I know Vlad does amazing with sales training. Like, so that's once again, I just want to help, and want to help especially those that are target audience that we can help the most, right? And then the others, happy to refer. And I think agents should take a similar perspective. Yeah, I want to be the one they come talk to, and then either I can help them or I get them to an amazing referral partner that can help them. And when agents, you become the trusted resource, then everybody comes to you and you get to help people, or you get to connect them with amazing referral partners, and they love you, and then they send you your target audience as well.
Beautiful. And I mean, just for this audience here, like, David didn't ask for a solicitation spot, but even though I put it out there, how can people get a hold of you? I hope you guys see that, like, the way that he lives is literally given that opportunity. It's not go to, 12345.com and
call here and come pay us. Nah,
yeah, watch my funnel. Yeah. Like, it's just real, and you're a real guy. And like, you were just like proof of what that actually looks like in practice, which means that, like, when you woke up today, I'm guessing it wasn't how many people can I solicit? It was like, I'm out here in the network. We're here to serve, here to support, here to connect. And like, let's see what happens. And I love that. I love seeing it in practice as well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I woke up excited for this podcast. I woke up excited for I'm teaching a few different trainings today for our clients, and we're actually doing a mastermind college knowledge share social thing for our Closers Click clients today, where they get to actually connect and learn from each other and share knowledge and best practices in tech. And so that's kind of like, you hear enough from us, it's time, let you guys connect and share stuff together, and we do that every month too. So at the end of the day, I a great, client, also mentor of ours, like David Price, like, mentioned at one point, like, hey, I can learn anything. I can learn something from anyone at any given time, and take that kind of curiosity, that knowledge, and constant learning and continuous improvement. And I try to very much instill that ourselves, because I think that's a great approach to take to life, is like, everybody's got their own background, their own story. They all know something about some area that I don't know about, and I do not pretend to be the expert at all things. And I also know that we don't do this alone, that we got awesome team on things as well. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's probably why I like social media too. It's people, it's community. I'm an extrovert. I love it. I love connecting, and for me, that's the most fun way. It's the most fun way to do business, right? Like, I don't want to go get locked in a box in a closet and never see anybody all day. I know some people, they're like, that sounds like the perfect like thing for me or ever, and that's great for you. But that's, I think, what I like is it's an amazing industry, amazing people, and every day is exciting.
That's beautiful. And to that point, here's one thing I'd like to pick your brain on while we're talking about the skill sets you bring to the table. Okay, so you've got social media, somebody's in there, they're involved, they're winning, they're growing. You've already given a couple of case studies here of like what that can actually look like in practice, right? But then I'm like, hey, David, what else is hot for you right now? Like, where is your attention outside of, not outside of, but in addition to, or to enhance, this game plan and this approach to the market with social media? I'm curious if for you, if you were to say, hey, if I had, one other hot focus area that I'd say, agency owner, look over here too. You need to pay attention to this. I mean, is it AI right now? Is it referral partnerships? Is it a certain software, a certain systems integration to the way they manage leads that they get from social? Like, where else do you have a lot of attention that you think is worth people's attention right now?
So I'll give kind of two areas there. I'm not going to really talk about systems process, because I know like Joe actually just did a full walkthrough of like agent CRM. I love Alex Branding and them. They do some awesome stuff there. So definitely there's lots of great tech for agents to go connect with and check out that can help. I will say AI is something that agents absolutely should be spending time and learning. Gary Vee, we saw him at an event like last year, and he was like, if you haven't already spent 50 to 100 hours learning AI, you're already behind the game and you're going to get left in the dust. And I thought that was so accurate. Like, it's not something you can just ignore. Like, it's like ignoring the internet, right? Like, it's here, it's making an impact, and it's something to at least learn, whether you delegate it, hire for it, or do it yourself. You need to know how it works, right? And so we've paid a lot of attention, and I think maybe like 6 months ago or so, updated our whole curriculum within our programs to make processes easier, simple, and streamlined through training your AI specifically to your target audience, to you, to your content pillars and stuff, to make a lot of things simpler and easier, so that, once again, agents can be actually more consistent and effective with what they're doing, versus like kind of every once in a while I did social and not getting results from it. So we've AI to make things and processes easier, simpler, not to replace them, but AI should be an enhancement and something that helps as a tool, that if you're not taking advantage, you're wasting a lot more time than you probably need to, if you could use that to help. So AI is definitely one of the big areas. The other big area, and this isn't something that like I'm teaching on or training on or really part of the program, but I'm really passionate about. And so I'm really encouraging people to take advantage of and wish we would have done sooner. Like, we've done trainings and webinars and stuff for years and years and years. And that's been a big part of our business for putting those out for people. But last year we started the podcast, and and we were like, well, we'll stream it as well. We'll put the video on YouTube, but we'll have the audio versions. And yeah, that's been great to nurture content for people to discover, and that's all great too, is like from a marketing perspective. But it's been a great relationship builder, and getting to meet new people find and connect, and all kinds of opportunities come there. And like for social media, yes, I love using it to get prospects for insurance to come through, and for agents using it that way. But the most leveraged use of social is actually connecting with strategic referral partners that can send you 20, 30 clients a month, and connecting at that level with people. And so that's where I very much encourage people to use social that way. But if you can set up and do like a podcast, it's not just about the content, what you're talking about, but this is a great way to connect with guests, have them come on, talk, build that relationship, and then set up a call after that. Like, if you're a commercial P&C agency, right, you absolutely should be connecting with businesses, especially ones that you specialize in, maybe connect, with contractors. And I'm going to highlight and bring in different contractors, talk about what they're doing and their agency, like what they put in place, why they got into this business, their stories. There's all kinds of different perspectives you can take. Be like, man, Bob, that was so great to have you on. I love what you've done in your business. Actually, I would love to see if I could help, and if I could quote your business, see if I can make, help you save a little bit on that, or get you some better coverage there. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, Dave. Why wouldn't I have you, do a quote? And absolutely, no problem. And that would just be a nice, easy relationship builder, providing value first, highlighting them, and then getting to now have a conversation with them. So, it's not the quickest, easiest, like, oh, let me just flip on my computer and run a podcast today. But I will say it's very effective, especially if you streamline it, build processes with AI to help around the preparation for it and stuff there. And I would highly encourage it. It's been a game changer for us.
Yeah. And, I've been thinking about you and seeing you in practice just over the last week and a half, and the level at which you actually practice what you preach is inspirational. Because, I mean, to be very transparent with our audience, right? Like, we called you, David, like literally called you and said, hey, like, we'd like to connect. We do this and this and that. And you said, hey, do you want to come in and maybe participate? I know you guys do a lot of hiring, a lot of telemarketing. You want to come in and speak on a podcast we have? So it was like, yeah. So we come in, have that conversation. I'm like, hey, we have an audience. I'd love to bring you over. You have a completely different skill set. Can you come in and speak with us? And you're like, yeah, but we're also going to, like, let's do a call after that, which we have, I think, later today. So it's like, literally what you just said, you're doing in practice. And I'm sure, this is one interaction, one relationship, but there's many others that you just invest. And it's like, you go plant the seed, you water it, you nurture it. And before you know it, you have people that have different skill sets. They help serve people in different ways. And like, the power of two partners from two different companies helping one client is even better, because it's like, hey, they're really good at that and they can help you on that side of the business. But then I'm over here and we can help with this. And you start to, it's like you're growing your company without growing your company, right? It's like you have partners out there. So I just want to give you a huge shout out for practicing what you preach, and to say, like, it works. And I've seen it in action for you guys. And I just think that's something that, like, this is a really cool conversation, I think, for agencies to understand. This whole social thing isn't some fancy algorithmic board with you with a studio shooting 20 pieces of content a day. And you got to have the perfect caption color, which I've seen that silly thing where it's like, this guy increased his lift by 200,000 views by changing the color on his captions. And it's like, you just get into this, like, this realm where it's like, it's too much. I'm too late to the game. Whereas you're just, like, in practice, like, walk into the dance, like, go have conversations, be yourself, connect with people, follow through. And eventually, like, it's going to pay you back tenfold versus trying to pay into a market every single day. So this has been great.
Appreciate it.
For sure. Well, from this point forward, I know we're kind of wrapping up towards the end of the show. I know you said that you have the Bangkok event coming up. Is there any type of an event that's maybe got room, that's got openings, where if anybody else is like, hey, I kind of like the idea of flying overseas, networking with a bunch of like-minded individuals. Is there any opportunity you see out there upcoming in 2026 where if somebody's had that on their bucket list, they've been putting it on their goal sheet, they're like, hey, maybe this was the podcast I needed to hear to find that next event? Is there anything like that coming up that people could get invited to?
So as far as international travel, I don't know too many international that are insurance specific events. If you want to connect with our entrepreneurs and marketing and ops and hiring and like all of that, with people that like have designed businesses around like what they want out of life and stuff as well. Like, we've been a part of a community called the Dynamite Circle, or the DC. The owners actually run a podcast for, like, I don't know, 20 years at this point almost, like, called the Tropical MBA. And it's a online group of maybe 1,500, 2,000, entrepreneurs that come from everything from like ex-executives from Fortune 100 companies to straight up hippies and people running consulting and courses and coaching and e-commerce and all kinds of different industries. And it's all just built for them to connect, knowledge share, a crazy form, constant questions. People who've like lived and breathed and built 40, $50 million businesses on SEO, like sharing what's working there. And it's a really just value driven community. There's no pitching, there's no outside speakers. Like it's just a fun, awesome community of people I can link up, go on trips with, hang out, like, but also talk operations at the same time. And so we love that community. That's the one that they have a big event in Bangkok every year. We're going to Mexico City for one, like April, May time. And then they have communities all over in different cities that meet up like and to do things each month or to mastermind. And then you also get put in a mastermind for the community. They actually have a version of their mastermind is only 7-figure businesses plus. And, we're like small fish there with people, $50, $100 million businesses. I'm like, okay, I want to learn ops from what you put in place there because you've done some really cool things. And they'll just share it. They're like, yeah, here's my exact SOPs. Here's what I've done. Let me sit down. Let's have lunch and, we'll go through it. And that's what I love about that community. They're not the only community out there. There's plenty. And especially if you want to like find something maybe that, hey, I want to maybe travel within my state or within the US, there's plenty of that. So if it's more like I want to focus it to insurance, there's so many great conferences and events going on each year. And yeah, it's great if the event itself has some really good training and stuff there. But I find it's just so good to get to meet people, sit down, learn from them, build connections and relationships. So I would encourage agents to really get out and make sure that's a little bit of a part of your year. You don't have to go every month or anything, but find a few that you can go to and build relationships with. And it's a great place to discover new things that maybe you haven't had a chance to dive into.
Incredible. Thank you for that. And that's another reason I would say go check out, if you guys didn't write this down, Marketing for Insurance Agencies group. Go check that out, get linked up. I'm sure you can message David or any admin there and kind of find out more about those communities as well. But as we come to a wrap here, I just really look forward to the impact that you're going to have on a lot of agencies in 2026. I appreciate what you guys do and the value that you actually bring to the table each and every single day. I've been witness to it for a while, and so when I met you, it was a bit like, wow, this is the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes that's kind of created this. But you guys have done it in a very authentic way, and it's really cool. I think even just following David and following Elle and seeing their journey and the way they put themselves out there is just a good testimonial and a good example to follow in like the right way to do things and the genuine way to do things. So even if you're just looking for an example of how to build a community and be involved in an authentic way, that's another reason to go give them a follow, get engaged with them. It's really incredible to see you guys out there. So David, thank you very much for your time today. Happy New Year to you. And I look forward to all that we can achieve together in the new year here.
Thank you so much for having me here, Andy. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun. Joe's built such an incredible group with Syndicate, and I love all the people in it, a lot of familiar faces as well. So I really appreciate you inviting me on Ask the Experts. Look forward to connecting later. And yeah, let's all rock for 2026 and ring that bell.
Let's go. I appreciate you so much. And Insurance Syndicate Group and Ask the Experts audience, thank you for being with us again. We'll be back with you next week. We're actually meeting with a company who's taken the industry by storm with some incredible AI tools. So right along in line with that conversation. So we'll be back here next Thursday. What would that be? The 15th of January already at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So in the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your week. Reach out if you need anything. And thank you guys so much again. We'll see you next time.